I love the term license to speak. And I think it's really, really important that I stress that, because it really is that you've given yourself the license, because you can give yourself a license to not, right, and shut your mouth and stay behind. But you feel like I have a right, I have a responsibility, that I have an obligation, and then you go and feel like I should like own a part of this. This is what I am, part of why I exist in the world, is to do this, whether it's for a season or a lifetime. And so stepping into that role was, again, it wasn't one day I want to be the chair of the D&I steering committee for AGC. Matter of fact, I absolutely didn't want to do it. A friend of mine said, hey, you should help us out in this group. And I was selected and I was on the team. I was happy being on the team, which meant I was behind the scenes. Give my contribution and you guys go ahead and talk about it. Then next thing I know, I'm being set up to be in line for vice chair and chair role. And I was like, oh, wait, time out. That's not what I want to do. And they continued to push me. And ultimately, I obviously accepted that responsibility. But during that, what I recognized that when you give yourself that license is one, my leadership style was I didn't need to do all the work. I didn't have to have all the answers. I had to help our team collaborate and work together to figure out what are the best things we should be doing with regards to specific issues that were pertinent to diversity and inclusion for AGC member companies. So that's where my ability to have diplomacy, to converse with people, to see two sides of a story, and to try to bring it together where we can like walk as a team. That's what my contribution was. And that's what made it, for me, easier to be a part of that, because it wasn't me trying to figure out all the right answers. It was extracting the best of everyone in the team and trying to figure out how we do this and pull this off together. I talked about being uncomfortable all the time. And I told him that it could feel like having on 2 left foot shoes, and you're walking around feeling like that all day, every day. And maybe it goes away a little bit and maybe it never does. But what you realize is that the work is still the work, and you don't quit and give up because it's uncomfortable, but you're trying to help other people bring what they have to the table. And what they have are their own experiences, whether it's how do we engage white men that have a hard time talking about diversity and inclusion or equity. And when you talk about that, only specific things come to their mind because it's what they've experienced and what they think. And I should feel guilty, or I'm the bad person, or, you're blaming me for something that happened from my ancestors, and all these conversations that are real. And it's not about holding up signs and making people feel bad or saying you wronged me. That's not, even if that's true, it's not going to get people in the room saying, all right, I want to be a part of this team. Let's go for it. So, you gotta have strategies and figure out some really important ways to bring people together at the end of the day and have a dialogue. It's like, we're not going to solve the problem right now, but we can begin to have conversations that we've never had before about race in our industry, about privilege, and about the actual discrepancy when it comes to people of color or women in the industry. It's like the facts are the facts, and it's not designed to say you're wrong. It's really saying, here's what we have to deal with. Here's the data. Let's look at this data and figure out what can we do to support different pathways. How do we get other people involved? If we know we need more people in the industry, and many of them are going to come from different ethnic groups and genders, then let's figure out some pathways for those people. Let's figure out how you are instrumental in helping create the pathways. So it's just having these dialogues and conversations that, again, they make you feel uncomfortable. But I remember being in a room with kind of a diverse group, but it's probably more white male dominated. And there was a guy asked a question about race, and he didn't ask his full question, but I felt like I knew what he was trying to say. So I raised my hand. It was probably like 50 people in this room. And I said, you know what? I don't think anyone should condemn you for saying you want to work with somebody that you're comfortable with, that and that looks like you even. I said, I think we all want that. I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I said, but here's a problem, is what it's created is walls and fences. And so it's if we can't say, if I can't work with my buddy, then if I think the best next person is always going to look like my buddy, that's where we create a problem. Am I saying you're a racist because of that? No, I'm saying it's the thinking is stuck in one way, and we need to undo that kind of learning and recognize that there are other people that have the same aspirations, dreams, skill sets, and capabilities. We just need to broaden how we view that. We need to broaden how we come to the table, especially if we're the decision makers. And so we have those kind of conversations at the Diversity Inclusion Council and figure out how do we roll these things out, because everybody's not ready when you roll it out. So you have to spoon feed. You can't just throw it out there and then get nothing. So it's like being strategic, even that is, so it's a whole lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to that. There's a golden thread in it, though, that I think people in our industry and in others ignore, and that's the difficult conversations. Right. If you go to your IPD experience, if you go to your lean experience, if you go to your DI experience, that's all difficult conversations. And what people forget is that it's not all sunshine and roses in any of this. And actually what we have to do is be able to be comfortable being uncomfortable and have the conversations.